I'm very happy to introduce the Reverend Rueben Dockery. His son, Rueben, was a terrific young man, and it's been fun to catch up with him over coffee this morning to talk about Ruben's life now in Ohio, having just recently met a new girlfriend, what he's doing in his job. Just really a pleasure to be back with a friend and have someone come back to MBA after their sons graduated to make some comments this morning. So he's a 34-year resident of Nashville. He's been happily married for 26 years. Together, he and his wife have 2 children, a daughter and a son, who are both grown adults. He is currently the owner and an agent of the Dockery Agency, an independent insurance agency. For the last 26 years, he's been the pastor of Bethel Family Church and formerly pastored Mount Sinai Cumberland Presbyterian Church. He is the founder of Building Families and Communities Missions Incorporated. He has worked as a special education teacher in the Metropolitan Nashville Public School System, as a treatment counselor in a dual diagnosis psychiatric center, a supervisor to youth detention center. Please join me in welcoming back to MBA Reverend Rueben Dockery.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gioia. I realize that some young people have to get to class, so brevity will be of importance here. We're grateful to be here today back at MBA on the Hill, and we're happy that Greg Farrell called us and invited us to come. I said, absolutely, man, I'd be tickled pink to do so. So we're grateful again, and for this most important occasion to recognize the many opportunities that Montgomery Bell provide to families, to students, and I would argue to the Nashville community at large. I'd like to begin with posing a rhetorical question to you, and that is simply, how many of you all think that your being here today in this room is a stroke of luck? Don't answer that, just think about it. A famous quote from Roman philosopher Lucius Seneca suggests that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Now, far be it from me to try to challenge a philosopher, but I beg to differ with him respectfully. See, perhaps the difference in Seneca's view and mine is the zeitgeist of our age, because the Dockery family have a particular relationship with Montgomery Bell that tells me otherwise. And it goes kind of like this. The best rebuttal that I have is that we've been convinced that when parents are focused and when they're intentional, that when opportunity comes, you can have success. So it's not about luck. It's about putting the work in, and that's why most of us are here today. All of us are here today. The Wallman Scholars Program is just an example of one of the many opportunities that when they're connected with focused, intentional efforts, you can get whatever you want. You can have success. Your children can be so. So allow me just for a second to intimate that a little bit here. 23 years ago, my wife and I, we were determined as parents. As Mr. Gioia said, we have a daughter and a son. We were determined to make sure that our children became productive members of society. So accordingly, we taught them that it's important that you value faith, you value your family, and you value education. Those are the tools that'll get you where you want to be. And we were intentional about teaching them those things and exposing them to those type of opportunities. We strived to make sure that we created a language-rich environment in the home for them, such that reading was a major focus, and the exploration of knowledge and information was key to them in their growing up. At the age of about 4 years old, Rueben kind of shook us all up. I was working then in a youth detention facility, and on a regular basis I was dealing with other children that were detained by the state because of juvenile delinquent activities and so forth and so on. And every night it was a stressful shift, and I was working the second shift, and I would come home around sometimes 11, 12 in the morning. And I came home one day to open my front door, and there I met the doorknob come off of the door. As I began to shake it and wonder what's going on, I noticed that there was a string from the doorknob. It extended itself to the couch. I'm looking further, and from the couch it was tied to a coffee table. And from the coffee table it was tied to an adjacent room in the living room. And I'm like, my goodness, what is going on? And there was, in the middle of the floor, a little 4-year-old boy who had been laying there all evening waiting on his dad to come home so he can show him, look what I did. You know, my first inclination was to be upset. My goodness, man, you tore up our house. Man, what have you done? So, have y'all heard of a Rube Goldberg? Here we were, and I said to myself, wow, I had to catch myself. What he is displaying right now is the natural desire and skill set of an engineer. And that let my wife and I know what we need to be working on. And we became even more intentional about finding opportunities to have him to develop those skill sets. We wanted to make sure that in his future planning, he had good, strong basis for math and science and reading and all those other things that would help strengthen those, develop those skill sets. Engineering, indeed, was the thing that we worked to enrich him in. Fortunately for us, we were able to accept and understand that where we placed him was very important. Now, this is not always an easy thing for people because you can have the best goals and desires, but life happens. Is that right? This is not church, but if I say, can I get a witness, y'all know what I'm trying to say, don't you? Life happens, and you have to make adjustments. Well, we were grateful that we were able to work with him, and he did well in Metro Public Schools all the way up to 8th grade. And then the opportunities came. We were convinced that we prepared him well, but it was just the opportunity. Where can he go to match those skill sets and that opportunity with a learning environment that will challenge him and push him to his best? We were fortunate to meet that opportunity and to come into interaction with a place where he can become anybody know this, and has anybody ever heard this? Gentleman, scholar, athlete. Can I get a witness? Montgomery Bell Academy was the place that we found that was the perfect place for him to be able to develop those skill sets. Learned that they started back in September of 1867 with just 26 young men. And look at here today. Look at where we are today. Grateful for the opportunity to get there. We met a gentleman by the name of Tim Bryant, and he told my wife and I about Montgomery Bell, and we said, okay, yeah. And as we began to look at it, and we actually applied to University School in Nashville. Rueben was accepted both places. And we said to him, it's your choice to decide where you want to go. Well, it was the Ellington Band that was a winning point. And Greg Farrell had told us about a new program, the Robotics Club. Slam dunk, Montgomery Bell, I want to go. We came, and we were grateful for all of the opportunities for him to develop himself in robotics and the academic sciences, very strong background with Latin and so forth. And Montgomery Bell provided that opportunity. But then there was one other challenge. After he met Greg and he fell in love with Kit Letlider, the candy lady, we realized that, wow, Montgomery Bell is a great opportunity, but it comes with a cost. Now, how many of you all know that anything good is worth paying for? What we realized is that this is a great opportunity. And Greg told us, fret not, we got you. And what we learned is that the Wallman Scholars Program was one of the many opportunities right here at Montgomery Bell. And while we wanted our son to be here and we were willing to make the sacrifice, that became the one thing that made it easier for us to do that. And we were grateful for that. Year after year, what we found is that this 1969 graduate of Montgomery Bell, Mr. Richard Wallman, and continuing what he learned at Montgomery Bell through his wife, that they wanted to make sure that other young people had that opportunity. And we were grateful that Rueben came here and he was able to do a great many of things. He was able to demonstrate himself and to apply all that he had learned at home and take advantage of the opportunities that were provided to him right here at Montgomery Bell. Now, I don't have any doubt. I met a colleague of Mr. Wallman this morning, and I asked him to pass the message from Rueben to him. Thank you. I have no doubt that he had a love for the Big Red family. Like many of you, years to come, you'd be able to go back, look back and say, you know what, Montgomery Bell was a pivotal point in my life. And it was a springboard to where we wanted to go. We're grateful that Rueben was able to do a lot of different things here. Now, I wouldn't say that he couldn't do that anywhere, but we were grateful that Montgomery Bell was the place, was the platform that he had to demonstrate those skill sets. He was fortunate to be a 3-time National Latin Exam medal recipient and a winner. He was with the Wilson Grant Program. He traveled to several places for robotics camps. He was able to, he took 5 honors classes and 4 AP classes, National Junior Honor Society, Science Olympiad, robotics president when he graduated. He was with the ACE group and member of the chess club. He was inducted into the MLK Society. He was inducted into Totemore. Freshman, played football, basketball team. He wanted to play on the basketball team really bad, Mr. Gioia, but it just didn't make the cut. And that wasn't good enough for him. He said, you know what, I'm going to stick with this. I tell you what, I'll accept the team manager position because I'm going to train with the team, I'm going to practice with the team, I'm going to travel with the team, and next year, I'll be on the team. Well, he never made the team. But he worked hard as a team manager. You understand what I'm saying? Opportunities. He was the swim team captain, though, when he left. And he became a great swimmer, member of the track team. And he was able to participate in theater, a little thing called Salaphony, Indata. And again, I mentioned he played with the Ellington Band, with the rock band, and he was inducted into Tri-Mute Honor Society. I said all these things to say that these were the many opportunities that are available. But sometimes life brings roadblocks and it calls us to back up and to rethink. But what we have to know is that when you've worked hard and you've prepared yourself, it's all right for you to take advantage of opportunities just like this one here at MBA with the Wallman Scholars Program. And I want to encourage every parent to know that it may not seem clear now, but understand that many have tread the roads and they've left the path, and we're grateful for this path right here with the Wallman Scholar Program. Now, I asked you earlier, rhetorically, if you thought that you were here because of luck. Well, I come to let you know today, it's not luck. This is because of your hard work, your determination, and your vision for your children that we benefit from this preparation and this opportunity right here at Montgomery Bell Academy. And I want you to know, you ought to give yourself a pat on the back, because you could have been anywhere. But look where we are today on this November 3rd, 2021. As I prepare to close, I suggested that there is an intentionality, in terms of reaching success. And I want to further intimate that the fact that when you combine your efforts, your actions, with opportunities that are out there are opportunities out there. And I would tell any young person, no matter what comes or what goes, you look for the opportunity, you met your skill set with the opportunity, and guess what? There's your path to success. And I want to leave with you as well that we're witnessing that today. I was telling Mr. Gioia, got a nice little group here. Y'all look pretty good from where I'm standing. Look mighty fine to me. And we want to continue this type of thing. I had a conversation with Greg, and I was talking to Rueben, and Greg told me that they were looking to build a new robotics club. And so Rueben said to me, well, I'm going to make sure I get in touch with them because I want to be a part of that. I want to make sure I can make a contribution to that and things of that nature. So this is how it works. When you're blessed, you have an opportunity to share your blessing with someone else. And we're grateful, Mr. Gioia, for the opportunity. He graduated in 2016. So it's been a few years now, but he still hadn't forgot the Big Red family. And we want to make sure that we continue to thank Mr. Wallman for everything that his philanthropic efforts have provided to the the number of individuals that have benefited from it. I can't think of a better way to say thank you than to have this said in the words of a Wallman scholar. Quote, a few weeks ago, I had the privilege of speaking to several groups of elementary, middle, and high school age students about the field of engineering. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to collaborate with Advantage CLE, Tennis and Education, and Elizabeth Deegan to empower the upcoming generation with knowledge about the roles engineers play in society. I believe the early exposure to different career paths is very important because it allows them to cultivate their interests while they are still young. Experiences like these enable them to confidently give an answer to the dreaded and inevitable question, what do you want to do when you grow up? And what do you want to do for a living? End quote. Rueben Yisrael Dockery Jr., mechanical engineer with W.S. Tyler in the Cleveland, Ohio area. That's the best way I can say thank you. Montgomery Bell, you've done a great job. And we were happy, the Dockery family is happy that you were the opportunity that we needed to match with the preparation. Now, I want to leave you with this. I was just talking with Mr. Gioia about the football season, and looked like it was some ups and some downs. But if you all can imagine with me, you're back in the fall, we're on the football field down there, and we see that old Red Hales. He's cut and burnt everybody. He's down in the end zone all by himself. And then your quarterback, Marcel Reed, draws back in the cut. He throws a 50-yard Hail Mary pass. Wow, he caught it. Guess what we'll all say? Go Big Red! Thank you very much.